but it was the championship for 2017. And Hunterace has just had a monumental year as a Hearthstone competitor with 2 tour stop victories, the top point earner in the entire world. And now he's coming in with a lineup that's probably not too good against Sintolol.
I wanted to kind of mention, you came off of Sintolol, he was in last World Championships. Hunterace very much looking like he will be at this year's World Championship. And, talking about his tour stops a little bit, he took first place at the tour stop in Italy and in Seoul. So 2 championships under his belt. He's gotten second place at the tour stop in Toronto, at the tour stop in Tokyo. His average finish when he makes the top 16 cut of a tour stop is second place. His average finish.
That's pretty good. And he makes top 16 a whole heck of a lot.
5 times so far. The only player in the world who has more top 16s than him is Casey from Team Complexity.
With 1 more, I believe.
That's right. Hunterace on Team Nordavind came into this tournament at the #1, like TJ said, 85 points. Sintolol, Team Genji, he came in sporting 43 points into this event. So, you can see like the tremendous difference of where Hunterace has been in terms of his actual performances there. Like there's a lot of people I think that play pretty close in quality in like the top 50 players or so. But it's those finishes that's like that little tiny itty-bitty% extra that's setting you apart. And there we get a look at Hunterace's road to make it to this stage of the tournament.
Yeah, he took out a lot of people that actually we were seeing in the top, or at least at the top of the standings at the beginning of the day, with Silvors, Bunny Hopper, Insane Thunder Up. We just saw Insane on stream as well.
Yeah, Silvors is in this group as well.
Yeah.
We're in the dual tournament stage, and to cover that a little bit and how it works, the top 8 is split into 2 different groups. They're going to play effectively a double elimination bracket in those, and I'll let you talk about that in a second, but they're going to play effectively a double elimination bracket in those 2 different groups in the top 8, groups of 4. And then from there, the top 2 players that emerge from those groups are going to the championship.
In the light's name.
He double Earthshock the Flame Imp.
You wouldn't?
I mean, I guess.
Look at he's looking at you.
That probably tells Sinto maybe a little bit about his hand. Because that's a Flame Imp. If you have Lightning Storm, you're never double Earthshocking that. So that probably gives Sintolol the read. That Lightning Storm is not there. But that is a lot of respect for that early damage. Hunterace understanding that Earthshock can be a tough card to use. Because there's really not that many big silence targets outside of Light Warden. There's not anything that's going to be built up really big. He's hoping that he can control the board to limit the impact of Fungalmancer, or at least draw Volcano by then. And he wants to make sure that he doesn't get hit by that recurring 3 damage over and over again.
Yeah, and I want to talk about that turn a little bit too, because what does that tell Sintolol about Hunterace's hand? And in my opinion, it says a lot. Like, one of the things it says to me is that Hunterace has something to do on turn 3 that is quite vital. And the 2 things that come to mind for me are Manatide Totem and Acolyte of Pain. So if that's the case, Sintolol played that Soul Infusion Light Warden about as quickly as you can. If he had drawn Voodoo Doctor in this spot, or he had drawn the Fungal Enchanter, the heal everything that you have for 2, that Light Warden looks a lot better in that instance. But in the instance where Sintolol played his turn very quickly and he didn't think about what that double Earthshock meant, there's a chance he could have prevented that Manatide Totem by coining out a Happy Ghoul.
That's very true, yeah. That's a good point. Hunterace ensuring that he gets 2 draws off or getting out a Soulfire.
Plus, it's going to absorb an attack still.
Yeah. And picks up, I mean, this is I like this hand. He's got Prince Keleseth, which may not be the best tool early on, but it's a tool that allows you to fight for the board, and all of a sudden your Serenite Chain Gangs later on in the game become massive defensive utility.
Yeah, that's a big one, but that's a big one for Sintolol is really what I mean. Like,
yeah,
that's one that Hunterace did not want to see come out of the totem spot.
Yeah, I think that Hunterace really thought about even just not toteming up here. That's why he took so long on that turn. It was a pretty easy turn.
It's quite common to not totem up with the Shutterwalk Shaman deck too. Against aggressive decks, it's typically not the case. You just want to try to find any utility you can. But I do want to talk about this turn from Hunterace here, because I thought this was a fantastic spot to just jam the Life Drinker instead. When I've played Shutterwalk Shaman, the biggest problem that I have typically had is just being able to spend all my cards pretty effectively once I have card draw rolling. And since he's got the Manatide Totem, Keleseth obviously is very strong, but I'm looking more towards Life Drinker and then maybe a Farsight or a Lightning Storm at the Keleseth next turn, and then follow up with the Electra and the card afterwards. Now, what Hunterace is doing is all the stuff you mentioned, like Star Knight Chain Gang now being extremely vital in terms of defense. You know, he's clearly valuing that a lot more than spending his mana in this game.
Yeah. Yeah, going back to your other point, toteming up is kind of just an optional utility for Shadow Walk in a weird way. But with Even Child, of course, you want to totem up because you have Sea Giants, you have Limited Totem, Direwolf Alphas. But even with something like Volcano, totems can just act as an extra 2 health that you don't want in that health pool on the board.
Talking about Volcano, by the way, that's exactly what Sinto was counting. If I want to encourage everyone, if you haven't watched Sintolol play before, or even if you have, watch his camera pretty particularly. He's very open about the way he's feeling about something and his emotions. Like, he has 2 very famous moments in Hearthstone where he has had the vital card of his deck burned due to hand size. And the rage that is in his heart is shown in his face and the way that he reacts to it. In this turn, that little totem that Hunterace made, Sintolol spent the entire time counting Volcano and what the math looks like and how can he make it the worst situation possible. And he's found that here this turn.
Yeah, he's willing to give over an extra draw from Manatide Totem in order to protect potentially multiple minions on his board if Volcano goes in his favor. Happy Ghoul is very likely to survive because it's a high health total. It's the least likely to get hit multiple times towards the end of that Volcano.
Hunterace now, he's starting to take a deep breath there.
Yeah, I mean, next turn he has Electro Storm Surge plus the Lightning Storm. So that's a big AoE, but he's going into turn 5, which is, oh wow.
Yeah, honestly, I don't disagree with this either. I think that if you have the Manatide rolling, you should go for the play of just continuing to have that Manatide roll and find the right cards to handle this afterwards. You know, in this spot, if he's lucky enough to take off both these Star Knight Chain Gangs, that hamstrings Sintolol's progress. And since he's fallen so far behind, it makes some sense because in this situation, even when he sees the Fungalmancer, eventually he has Volcano to back himself up. So he's trying to use his life as a resource to get to these other big AoE points. Now, is that going to work? I don't know, because Fungalmancer came out.
Yeah. And this does delay Volcano, so it was whether or not Hunterace was willing to take the damage, but this lines up better with Overload, because if he had played Life Drinker last turn, yeah, he would have been able to probably cleaned up with Electro Storm Surge plus Lightning Storm, but he would have been, it would have been a very awkward mana utilization because he would have floated a mana with the Life Drinker, and then he'd be like 1 mana off on his plays for.
Kind of seeing why I like the Life Drinker on turn 4 now. Like, it challenges the Star Knight Chain Gang. It matches the it matches the Light Warden that's on board. The problem is it buffs up the Light Warden. You know, that's one of the reasons he doesn't want to use the Life Drinker in that spot as well. But I feel like getting to the Electra turn was like the most vital positioning, and I think these totems that he's been making have been so slow that now he's just getting supremely punished.
Yeah. Even if you look at it right now, he's staring at 13 damage on board. Even with Life Drinker, he'd go up to 18. So,
oh boy, that's a big draw.
That is an amazing draw.
That saves Hunterace a lot of life that he did not have, and now he's found a second Lightning Storm, and he's got both Volcanoes, and he's got Life Drinker with Azola. Like, this is a game I'm looking at, and Hunterace is going to be, you know, probably eyeing playing Shutterwalk sooner rather than later, just to be able to get defensive measure on board. So this isn't a matchup where he has to win by going, you know, chain together a bunch of Shutterwalk stuff.
And that is a big risk too, because if he doesn't hit something that he can play on that turn defensively, Sintolol was 2 damage off lethal.
Yeah.
Anything in his deck that deals damage, Soulfire, Leroy Jenkins, or the second Fungalmancer, or Life Drinker, would have been enough to close out the game. That's a lot of outs.
Now, looking at the defensive stuff though, 2 Glacial Shards, 2 Healing Rains, 2 Hexes, 2 Star Knight Chain Gangs.
So like, he did have a lot of defensive options, but it was still a risk because he could have at least played around a few of those outs with Life Drinker. He plays his own Life Drinker, all of a sudden he doesn't die to Life Drinker on the other side or a Soulfire because he would have been 5 damage off. But he realized that if he takes and goes down to like 4 health, he wouldn't win anyway.
And now even option with the Electra Healing Rain coming up. I mean, this looks like it might be a full stabilizing point because Hunterace draws, you know, a way just to stop the Happy Ghoul for a turn was really the big point of that. He needed to be able to just negate the damage somehow. And a Hex, I think, was just the best way to do it. But pretty much any of those tools worked.
And that is the 5th card that Manatide has drawn. So Sintolol protected his board from Volcano, on that one turn where he decided not to kill the Manatide Totem and instead go face.
Glory to the Sindora.
Honestly, I think it's probably still right to not kill the Manatide Sintolol's spot. You know, he needs to just try to race him down as quickly as possible. That's been my highest success against Shutterwalk as an aggro deck, is ignoring their stuff and just going full face. It's, you know, it's quite rare in Hearthstone, aside from, you know, like the 2014 Face Hunter Undertaker days, that you've really just gone face to beat your opponent. You know, Mage kind of does that, but pretty much every single deck wants to fight for board somehow. Sintolol, I think, is executing the right game plan, though. Sometimes it just bees that way. They got the gots, and you get got.
Amen, brother. So Volcano here is still 1 damage off from a guaranteed full clear. If he trades in Life Drinker, there would still be 16 health on board. So it looks like Electra plus healing rate to get back up to full health.
Sinto just like,
yeah, Sintolol, he's a very passionate player, as we've seen.
Talking with Sintolol about the bad luck situations you encounter is like very therapeutic, because no matter how bad luck you've had, like I feel like he's got something that's more bad luck. Just every single time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's still drawing some gas and still pushing 40 damage this turn.
Yeah, I'm looking at the hand across on the other side, and I think that Hunterace just gets out of this. Oh my. So now, there's 21 health on board if he chooses to trade in these 2 3/3s. That's going to leave some stuff up, obviously. But he's got Sarnet Chain Gang to back that up. He's got a second Volcano. He's got Grumble at some point. Like, it's getting assembled, and the Manatide's still there. Now, it's probably not going to be there for much longer, but you know, what if Sintolol had killed that Manatide this game? I don't really know.
What if this Volcano clears everything but his healing totem and Manatide?
It just doesn't touch his own minions.
Yeah. All right, well, that's pretty much the worst outcome. All 3 of the big minions stayed alive.
Well, I mean, your Manatide stayed alive, though.
True. Okay, so that's card number, what, 7?
I don't
think
that was that bad of an outcome, honestly. Wait a minute.
It's not quite enough. It'll be 3 damage off.
That's scary, though.
It is very scary.
You don't want to be at 3.
Volcano will clear. And healing rate picked up.
Oh my gosh, a huge draw. Now I'm convinced that killing the Manatide probably would have been right. I mean,
7 cards.
We've seen 7 cards, and Sintolol has still almost won the game. Like, now I'm looking at it and I'm going, if he'd have killed this Manatide, like, it'd be probably over. Like, he probably would have won the game.
I mean, we talk about the healing rate being a good draw, but he only has 9 cards left. There's not even that much stuff left in his deck.
That's what I mean. He's drawn 7 extra cards.
Sintolol puts up his hands, but, I mean, you let him draw 7 cards with Manatide Totem, that's going to happen.
Is there still hope in this? Oh my gosh!
Those are probably
those are huge!
Wow.
Like, Hunterace's healing is now down to a Life Drinker. There's no AoE left in the deck. He hasn't seen a Glacial Shard yet, so the defensive measure of Shutterwalk right now is make a copy of itself and Life Drinker. The minions on Sintolol's side are not dying without a Hex. You're staring at 6 damage and you're at 8.
Well, if he hexes here in Life Drinkers, he goes up to 11 with 6 damage on board. He can push 1.
Oh, you're looking at finding lethal.
Because Shutterwalk will have 2 Life Drinkers. Life Drinkers are 4/4, so Sintolol would have to trade in both minions.
He's not going to do that.
He's not going to do that, and he's played both Serenite Chain Gangs. He doesn't have any defensive tools left in his deck.
Does he have a Voidwalker?
Yes. He has a single Voidwalker left.
You know, I'm looking at what are the draws for... Whoa.
Yeah, see, and he pushes down to 6 because Shutterwalk next turn. I don't think there's an out because Soulfire is the only damage left. Fungalmancer's not enough.
Oh, Sinto knows it too. You can tell.
Yeah.
As soon as he saw the 2nd damage and then he saw the Hex.
That's checkmate. He has no Leroy. He has got no Doom Guards in the list. He's got no way to deal the extra damage.
He's 1 damage off.
1 damage off. He would have been 1 damage off with Fungalmancer or with Soulfire.
Why do you call?
And Shutterwalk ends the game with double life trigger in the pool.
Wow. The Manatide that could.
7 cards.
7 cards.
My jaws that bite, my claws that
And
catch.
Sinto is clearly unhappy. But you know what? There's still more games. You gotta win 3 of these bad boys.
And that's a pretty big win because Hunterace's lineup, Hunterace get a big win in game number 1 with the Shutterwalk versus Zoo. But I think this is probably the deck in his lineup that I'm the most worried for, is the Hunter deck. Because even though Hunter has received more defensive options with the recent Boomsday release, it's still very vulnerable to fast strategies and still very vulnerable specifically, I think, to the Token Druid. They just don't have a way to deal with those wide board states. There's no Unleash the Hounds. Deathstalker Rexar is about it.
I feel like a lot of times the wide board state is, you're trying to handle it with taunt minions a lot.
Yeah, but even that can be sometimes hard because you can't guarantee Witchwood Grizzlies from any of your effects. And the way you cheat out Witchwood Grizzlies doesn't even come until later on in the game.
So what kind of effect does,
with
like,
Serena.
Sarnet Chenga and Giggling Inventor help out with that?
Yeah, Hunterace, that's one of the big things that he has going for him is that he's included more defensive options. But that can also halt his game plan because it's not that difficult for, say, a Token Druid to just get over a Serenite Chain game.
Yeah, Token Druid oftentimes, they can play a bit of a slower game and not really worry about it. It's the explosive turns really that you're looking for.
Mossy Horror, though, is a pretty big tool.
And that is, that's another one that's in there too. I just kind of glazed over that because we've been seeing it, quite often in a lot of decks. That is a way to answer Spreading Plague or Whispering Woods. I think one of Sinto's big goals is to be able to buff one of those boards when he makes them. Being able to Spreading Plague and then increase the attack, beyond the Mossy Harbor point is a very big facet of landing a lethal blow.
Yeah. And as we just kind of go through the motions here at the beginning of this game, I do want to talk about the implications of Hunterace qualifying for the World Championship not on points.
Oh, right.
Because Hunterace is currently the points leader by quite a bit. And the top point earner from each region gets that automatic seed into the World Championship. If he, say, qualifies for the Fall Championship here at the playoffs, and then qualifies for the World Championship via that seasonal championship, that opens up the race for so many other European players to get that last call spot.
So what you're telling me is there's a lot more people rooting for Hunterace to win this now.
I'd say so, yeah.
Okay.
I think it's very unlikely that Hunterace gets dethroned as the points leader. He had another top 10 finish this month. Finished number 7, I believe. So he is not stopping anytime soon.
This is
with
like
the grind.
This is like Tom at last year's Summer Championship.
Everybody's rooting for him.
Everybody was rooting for him.
Everybody in Asia
Except
Pacific.
Purple.
Yeah. But, I mean, just something to think about as we get further and further into this top 8. And as Hunterace looks like he's in a pretty good position.
Yeah, this is how desperate you are for pressure in this matchup. If this doesn't really give you enough of a clue, just go ahead and coin out a 3-5 and hope that you can start delivering something to either fight for board or to chip away life total. Sinto doesn't have too many defensive tools in the deck. Your offense is basically your defense. You want to keep pressure on your opponent so that they don't have time to attack you. If Hunterace is able to get out to a substantial lead with a deck that, frankly, is pretty unequipped to do that properly, I think that's a really big thing for Sinto to look at. How does he start to disrupt that game plan and do anything meaningful?
Well, that coin being used opens up the opportunity for Sintolol to play this because it's right before the Mossy Horror Deathstalker Rexar turn. So Hunterace takes the risk and says, you know what? Turn 5 is the natural turn for Nourish. So I'm going to try and take advantage of that. You're probably not going to develop a board for a few more turns because Spreading Plague is a turn off.
Yeah.
Whispering Woods is 1 mana off curve. And so Hunterace took the risk and it didn't pay off. So now Sintolol...
Well, I don't know if it didn't pay off. You make a good couple points here is that Sintolol recognizes Hunterace is, clearly trying to take advantage of the Nourish turn. And so he deviates to the Whispering Woods. It puts Hunterace in a spot where he's got to fight, you know, and I think the Giggling Inventor was a big reason why he went for this play, is he has some amount of defense against this. But, you know, this does stop the pressure that Sintolol would be facing against this now. You know, every single one of these 1/1s represents something that, you know, very likely needs to be attacked, and Swipe is picked up. So maybe, you know, Sintolol even gets some use out of this board before it, you know, kicks the bucket to Rexar or to Mossy Harbor in this situation. It's a really weird game so far.
What to do?
There's a couple other options. Swipe, like Power the Wild, was the one that stood out to me first, but he could make some really weird trades. 3 of these Wisps into the Witchwood Grizzly, 2 into the Anoyotron Divine Shields, and then Spreading Plague for 5. That gets heavily punished by Mossy Horror.
Well, I'm actually wondering if Sintolol has an opportunity to nourish here and rely on Spreading Plague to maybe pick something back up. Because if your opponent plays Mossy Harbor, it's not a lot of pressure. It just kills your 1/1s, right? You get a 4/4 out of this with the Arcane Tyrant. If your opponent plays Rexar, they're not really adding pressure to the board. I think he's got some opportunities here to, you know, play a middle ground between offense and defense with Spreading Plague in the mix here.
Yeah, I don't think he's even going to play Arcane Tyrant because he wants to couple that with Spreading Plague to make sure that if Mossy Horror does come down, he has some backup.
The first person I saw do this was Tom60229 at Worlds versus Surrender. TJ and I whipped our heads at each other like, why on earth did he not play that Arcane Tyrant? And it was because he was saving it for a Spreading Plague turn.
Yeah, because it just hides it behind. If he plays it here, it just gets eaten up by Terrascale Stalker, Play Dead.
Yeah. Now, I don't think
any of the minions on board.
I want to clarify, I don't think Tom was the first person to ever intentionally do that.
No, he was at that turn.
It's just the first one I saw.
To play a 5+ mana spell and not play Arcane Tyrant. Literally the first.
TJ's got the hard data on that.
I mean, Play Dead just seems like the best option here. But Candle Shot does have value in that it can get 1 more minion off the board in a weird situation. Flanking Strike really doesn't have too many uses. It's too expensive to like be used to take off 1 token from the board.
Most of Hunterace's hand right now doesn't really have too many uses. I think that's really like the thing that I'm looking at. It's a very slow hand, and that's the one thing that Token Druid loves to see, is decks that have slow hands and that aren't pressuring you in that same vein. Now, if Sintolol buffs this board here, this is really where that sad point comes in. The reason he's buffing is because he's making hand space for Ultimate Infestation.
Yeah.
But this is, you know, really not a happy turn for Sintolol, I'd say. And Hunterace's just going to wait. He says, you know what, why would I use the Mossy Harbor here when I can just fight the board anyway? You just fight it honestly.
Yeah, I mean, he can take off a trade plus 2 Death Rattle.
Wait, that gets a double Death Rattle of Kill a Minion now. So that's 2 Kill a Minions that gets from the Death Rattle activation.
Plus the Play Dead, which clears off
Holy
2
smokes, that is really... I never even thought about that.
And he can actually trade into one of these and guarantee a full board clear while still holding on to his minions and not have to play Mossy Horror to save it for a big board later on with Whispering Woods or Soul of the Forest.
And having
Spreading Plague.
And having this 4/1 in play does a lot of work versus Spreading Plague. It makes it to where that card is going to kill the 5/5 from Spreading Plague. That is... I've never thought about that. That's insane.
And now he's still got all of his resources to deal with wide board states still. I feel like almost every player would just snap call Mossy Horror in that situation. Even though it clears your own board and just push. Well, you wouldn't really push. You just have a 2/7 left and play with an empty board on your opponent's side.
I mean, you give it, you know.
But that is a really creative way to make sure that the board is cleared off. Plus, he holds onto his board and makes it awkward for Sinto.
Yeah, Sinto's, he cannot Ultimate Infestation in this spot. And that is really like the bad news bear situation for Sintolol, is you pretty much set this up to rip Ultimate Infestation every time.
But if you just swipe here and Hero Power or swipe Giggling Inventor, that gives Hunterace free development on the turn 8, which is one of the most powerful turns for Hunter because they have Katharina, they have any of their big beasts if they've drawn them and not have Katharina.
If you Ultimate Infestation there, you're going to burn a card and your opponent gets to kill your thing. Like, just easily kill it.
Yeah, I mean, both plays seem
quite unsatisfying.
Yeah. At least Ultimate Infestation, you gain 5 armor and draw 5 cards.
You need it to create a swing turn, though. You know, Ultimate Infestation, the times that I struggle when I've cast this card, believe it or not, that happens, are when it doesn't create some sort of swing in the board state. And so here, it's not creating a major swing in the board state, but it's still doing something. It's taking out the front half of the Savannah Highmane.
Yeah.
And that I think is at least still, you know, quite significant.
Hunterace holds on to these attacks because he realizes that his next turn play will probably involve Deathstalker Rexar and Mossy Horror.
Yeah, this is quite a minor min-max play.
Yeah. So he says, I don't want to, you know, give up the additional damage to my face.
Whoa.
In order to make sure that I clear off a Divine Shield.
Whoa. This is actually, I think, quite brilliant from Sinto here to go face with it, because it's isolating the Savannah Highmane now to simply one attack. If he hits the Savannah Highmane, both Annoyatrons get taken out by it.
And Sintolol's not really worried about taking damage.
Oh no, that is not something Hunterace's deck, you know, delivers in mass amounts. This isn't like a typical kill command.
It eventually reaches a critical mass where you just have 7 King Crushes on the board.
You see it coming.
Yeah, but yeah, you usually see it coming.
Yeah, you know
when they cube their King Crush, you know something's gonna happen.
You remember in Jurassic Park when the lawyers runs away from the kids in the truck and Jeff Goldblum leads the T-Rex over to that where the lawyer is and he gets eaten by the T-Rex? Like, by the time Hunterace's deck gets to that point, like, you're the lawyer in the bathroom and the T-Rex is coming. You know it's coming and you know it's gonna happen.
Is that the one with Vin Diesel?
Yeah, with Vin Diesel. He was the programmer for the security side of Jurassic Park.
Love that movie. I love when they race the cars. Hunterace debating between Deathstalker Rexar and Mossy Horror.
I'm quite surprised that this was not a Deathstalker Rexar position. I guess it's because he has King Crush in hand, and so the damage is, you know, significant.
I mean, he does get extra development here and still gets to hold on to his hero power to maybe max that damage later on, but...
Oh boy.
Here comes the Whispering Wood Soul of the Forest.
Yeah, that's probably gonna take care of this.
So how many can Hunterace clear off? He can make 3 attacks.
He gets to clear off 3 of these.
So there will be 4 2/2s left on the board.
With double Savage Roar Branching Paths.
With double Savage Roar Branching Paths.
AKA very dead.
AKA lethal damage.
Yeah.
I mean, Deathstalker Rexar wouldn't have changed anything, right? If he had played these in the opposite order. He would have 1 less attack.
It would potentially offer him the ability to get something from Deathstalker Rexar.
But I don't think there'd be a single beast from Deathstalker Rexar that would help him clear this.
Like a Cave Hydra heal? Or like a Bloat Bat that can explode? Like a charging Bloat Bat?
Yeah, but the charging, it would be the same as playing Mossy Horror in that situation, right? Because you'd only get the 1...
Oh, because it's going to be 5 mana,
yeah,
at least, yeah.
You'd have 1 less attack, but 1 extra attack with the Bloat Bat, and Mossy Horror would serve the same purpose, so... I don't think it mattered which order you played these in. But that is roughly 8 damage plus about 1 million.
It's about 34 damage, I think. I know I've done this before, but I've only done it once.
No, it's 28 plus 8, 36.
How's it plus?
28 plus, yeah.
Let's go to 8, 32 plus 4, right?
No,
yeah.
it's a lot.
8.
Roughly 1 million.
16, 24, 32, and then 4 from base, 36.
Yeah, 38.
Tied series. Yeah, that's what you said. Sintolol answering back. That's, you know, that deviated from that, and it created a snowball effect that led to Hunterace never being able to get a foothold.
Yeah. All right, well, let's move into the Rogue mirror matchup, but it's not a mirror matchup in archetypes, only in class. This is Quest Rogue for Hunterace versus Odd Rogue for Sinto. And this is a tough matchup. This is Odd Rogue favored, but Quest Rogue can beat just about anything if it gets what it needs. And Hunterace, he made his climb this season with Quest Rogue.
Oh, that hand is not what he needs.
None will survive.
What are you talking about? Once he plays Fleer, he can have 2 preps.
Sick.
Prep prep. Concede.
Yikes. So, you know, being able to have preparation with Elven Minstrel is at least something, but Sintolol is on coin, and he has teched in 2 copies of Vicious Fledgling. You know, this is a card that you see so often in tournaments, and I feel like I see so rarely on ladder. Yeah, one of the big reasons is the targeting effect. When your opponents are playing the types of lineups you anticipate, Vicious Fledgling goes way up in value against that. On ladder, pretty much everybody plays a lot of removal just because you often need to kill something, you know, at the 3 health slot. Hunterace is targeting a completely different style of archetype, and this Vicious Fledgling is going to be massively punishing if it goes unchecked for just a short amount of time.
Yeah, Hunterace has a single backstab in the deck.
Well,
but if he...
Prep's looking okay now, at least. We're a long way off of that mattering, though.
Yeah, Prep Vanish just... I guess is really good against Rogue because...
Look at the smile on Sintolol's face. Did you see that?
Whenever your opponent just doesn't kill a Vicious Fledgling, I'm pretty sure there's not a single player out there who's not going to smile when they hit base and get that adapt. Basically, the cards you're looking for in this matchup are the cards that's going to help you survive until you can complete the quest.
Yeah, and when they don't kill the first one...
Yeah.
Well, okay. But, you know, there's still one there.
Yeah, but if he gives up to South Sea Deckhand, he's reliant on the top of his deck to have activation for this Elven Minstrel.
I am looking exactly at Deckhand, Prep, Vanish, and then try to use Deckhand to complete the quest by comboing it with Elven Minstrel next turn, and hoping that buys me enough time. Now, I want to follow that up with the caveat, I am not a Quest Rogue expert. I almost never play the deck, but I recognize a lot of trends about this deck by watching experts, and the things that they do are just take massive risks with their hand and the way the deck works out. The one tool that they don't seem to like to use very liberally is Vanish, but here I think it's a necessity for Hunterace to not lose the game.
Well, there's you know, 2 different matchups that you're going to play against. There's control matchups and there's the aggro matchups. And the aggro matchups, you really need to use Vanish early because you need to protect your life total and give yourself more options later. Against control decks, you want to be as greedy as possible with Vanish because they're not going to pressure you, and you want to be able to use Vanish to push for lethal later in the game. So this is an aggro matchup, so of course he's going to use it early because what are you going to do?
Die?
Take potentially 14 damage if those 2 get Wind Fury, not even accounting for if they get plus attack or +1/+1.
I'm buying.
So I think not even that's a good play. That's a necessary play for him to just not die.
Okay, so he's now off the South Sea Deckhand plan for a little bit, and I think a big part of that is, you know, finding Giggling Inventor and being at a reasonable life total on your 5-mana turn. That's a really big step for Hunterace because having Giggling Inventor to back this up, having a little bit of card draw, and Valera in hand means that he has a game plan. The game plan is get to Valera right now. It's not to complete quest, it's get to Valera.
Yeah. Valera opens up so many options because you have a turn where Odd Rogue can't do anything but develop.
Wow. That is a huge draw. Now we've got a lot of defense.
I'm completing the quest with Gigglers.
That's not unreasonable with this hand. And Sintolol, he has a Blood Knight ready to go to punish the first one.
What about the second 3 or 4?
That's really where things start to get, you know, a little bit weird. I remember it was day 1, I turned on Killin' All Day stream, and I was like, I bet he's playing Quest Rogue. Day 1 of the new expansion. His opening hand was Quest 2 Giggling Inventors, and I went, now that's not too shabby looking. It's really good. You can see every time Sinto has like a good thing to do, he just gets like this almost like playfully smug smile on his face. He's like, I got a Blood Knight.
Hunterace using the Stone Test board to try and take off attacks on the board to try and protect the life total as much as possible.
It's wise. Sinto's face is great.
Glory to the Sindora.
It's pretty darn good.
Yeah, I mean, he could push 5 and develop a massive board. I mean, I don't know if Hunterace is going to be able to... Nope, just kidding. He has more.
He wants to kill the Giggling Inventor so it can't be recharged.
Yeah.
And this threat is lethal here. I was ready to basically watch Hunterace die, and now he's going to live for a lot longer.
This is tough, though. Giggling Inventor is coming down this turn. But the question is, what do you do besides that? Because Sintolol does have another Blood Knight. So if Hunterace doesn't make a defensive play outside of that, say Glacial Shard on the Blood Knight, there's maybe potential that he could die. And then there's the option of, well, is Giggling Inventor the card that I want to complete the quest with, or do I just want an extra one in my hand? Do I Shadow Step it now? So if he does have another Blood Knight, he can't get through and kill my Giggling Inventor, so I can't Shadow Step it back.
The other thing, too, is like SI7 Agent can kill the Giggling Inventor. Like, that Giggling Inventor is basically going to be one of the ways that Hunterace wins the game, if he wins the game.
Yeah.
You know, it could be Wax Elemental buying time later down the road, but you really want to play Giggling Inventor after you complete quest. It's going to protect it now, which I think is very wise. I think without that Giggling Inventor, Hunterace has a much lower chance to win.
Yeah. He doesn't have any extra damage like SI7 Agent or Southsea Deckhand, so he can't get through the Glacial Shard. I'm not sure how much that matters. And Sintolol, wisely, after seeing the Shadow Step Giggler, wants to make sure that he has as many attacks on the board to try and get to the Divine Shields and Annoyotrons. You know, your eyes go to Funkelmancer to try and beef up the board as much as possible, but that option is always going to be there for you.
You use that as a punish, not as...
Yes.
Oh my. Is that enough to live? I mean...
Oh, for sure. With the Giggler?
He's in the same spot, though. He doesn't necessarily want to risk the Giggling Inventor. I'm curious, can he live without using the Giggling Inventor? Because if he plays the Valera next turn, he can't die while the Valera's down. No way! Huge draw for Hunterace! That is insane!
So now the question is, Valera is slated for next turn. Do you use the Vanish to make a power play after Valera, which I think you do?
No! You do it now, you don't die, and then you win the game with Valera the Hollowed and 2 Giggling Inventors afterwards. That is a snap Vanish. That is the best draw in his deck. That was insane.
Now he's got 2 turns to draw a Bouncer. My reasoning behind it was, when you play Valera, the only thing your opponent can do is develop.
Yeah.
So then you Vanish behind that.
So many options.
And it's really expensive for Odd Rogue to develop again. And so then you have multiple turns of Valera to get things going. That was my reason. That was my reason behind holding onto the Vanish, because Phantom Knives plus Giggling Inventor, you live there.
Sometimes.
Because your opponent only has 4 attacks on board. Actually, no, your opponent has 3 attacks on board because you kill off one of the Annoyotrons after the Phantom Knives. They have Blood Knight, 1 Annoyotron.
Oh, that's true. I wasn't thinking about that.
So you even live through a second Blood Knight. And so you open up this opportunity to be really greedy with Vanish. Okay.
Wow.
How about some more Gigglers?
Yeah, well, they're going to have to wait.
You cannot escape the shadow of death.
Hunterace is, typically not supposed to be at this high a life total at this stage of the game.
What, 24? On turn 9? Yeah.
As Quest Rogue versus Odd Rogue, it's quite rare that situation comes up.
Well, both Vanishes are gone.
Yeah, I mean, Sintolol does have, a bit of free reign where that's concerned.
And Hunterace, I mean, sure, he can complete the quest, but that's not the end game. You eventually have to kill your opponent. And Sintolol has opportunities to make massive boards.
Yeah, I mean, our progress on the quest right now for Hunterace is, 2 Southsea Deckhand and then 2 at Giggling Inventor.
So this is kind of why I wanted to hold on to the Vanish. Because post Valeera is, I don't know, it's
Wait a minute.
really tough decision.
Is that Fungalmancer a mistake?
Why? Because he can't Blood Knight?
Yeah, he can't play Blood Knight next turn. He can't play any minis next turn. He has to use attacks to bust through the Annoyatrons. And he knows there's going to be 4 Annoyatrons on board. It's impossible for him to deal damage next turn unless, like, what could he draw?
Well, maybe he's thinking that he's always going to have an opportunity to play Blood Knight because his opponent has Valeera plus a discounted Giggling Inventor and 5 cards in his hand that he can't account for that are probably bouncers. So maybe he's thinking that he's always going to have an opportunity to play Blood Knight, and next turn he just wants to get through these Gigglers.
Death's shadow.
I don't know. It's tough because you have to find a balance. He has to try and apply some pressure.
Yeah, I'm just curious about, like, the Fungalmancer, perhaps. Like,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
yeah. You just keep it up. Can you keep it up? Or I guess keeping it up board slot doesn't really matter either unless you specifically want to Blood Knight afterwards.
Yeah.
But as it stands, you know, there's 7 Divine Shields on the table that are no longer getting absorbed by Blood Knight.
Well, look at that.
That's annoying.
Another Giggling Inventor. If I showed you this board, what, 3 years ago
it
when
looks-
Annoyatron came out?
It looks like a weird lethal puzzle. Like, this is one of the things for the new
I want
Boomsday
to put
Adventure.
this on Reddit just to troll people and say, find lethal. See how long it takes people to realize that there is none. You make these attacks, and then you push. Oh. 0 damage.
Yeah, I think it literally doesn't matter what order the attacks go in. You push them around to make sure that, well, I mean, the one attack bans, yeah, it matters, but everything else just gets pushed around. You deal 0 damage. You still have no board space.
Yeah.
Hunterace gets another turn.
And this other turn.
Look at Sinto. He's like, where did I go wrong? What happened?
I didn't do
He
any.
filled up his board.
I didn't do anything that turn but kill his Annoyatrons. And the Giggling Inventors are still up, so if Hunterace draws a bounce, he can just have more. At least next turn, Sintolol can trade a minion in.
Mind you, with the way the board state was, it was impossible for a card in Sintolol's deck, I think, to kill it. Period.
Oh, and by the way, double Fan of Knives actually just clears the board.
That's the turning point. That vanish that he drew,
And a Sonya to get the extra 1 mana
it's over.
Giggling Inventor,
It's not, he's not,
which completes the quest.
Hunterace is not dead yet. But he had, or I'm sorry, Sintolol's not dead yet, but Hunterace is won. He is,
No, he's dead.
turned the corner 100%. Sintolol
Oh, man.
is not coming back from this situation.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Next turn, he could double quest to make his minions 4/4s again.
Sick. Sinto's just, yeah. He should not have filled up his board, and that was something he was not accounting for. He wasn't thinking about, well, what just happens if he plays 2 Giggling Inventors, and
Of the Europe Fall Playoffs here at the Hearthstone Championship Tour. I'm TJ, once again joined by ThatsAdmirable.
yo,
And Hunterace, 1 game away from moving on to the winner's match of this group. Sintolol really struggling despite, on paper, having what seems to be a very favored lineup against Hunterace, playing an aggressive lineup against Hunterace's anti-control lineup, just not being able to get it done. But the thing I like about Hunterace's lineup is that it's anti-control, but all of his decks, maybe besides Quest Rogue, because that deck is pretty much 30 for 30. Maybe Fan of Knives is the inclusion that you can take away, but even that has some defensive tools against aggressive decks. You know, we're talking about Serenite Chain Gang in his Hunter deck. We're talking about the double Earthshock in his Shutterwalk Shaman deck. So I really like his lineup, and it's no surprise looking at it and the field that he's managed to get to the top 8 with a 6-1 record.
well,
And Sintolol just not finding any early game.
yeah, this is definitely a pretty brutal opening hand for Sintolol. I mean, typically you want to get on the board and start swinging away. But I will say that I think that this matchup is, you know, still quite Sintolol favored, even if he manages to, you know, kind of whiff his first couple of turns. Right now, if he draws a healing card, it is a massive explosion at pretty much any point in the game.
Explosion!
Science! And I think that's really the big thing to look at is...
He's so mad!
I'd be pretty upset too. I'm one game away from dropping down to the lower portion of this bracket. And he needs a healing card really bad. If he doesn't find a healing card, you know, that's when things start to get really scary because he's playing Saronite Chain Gang into Flanking Strike. He's playing, you know, Light Warden without a healing card. Like, his hand is pretty trash unless he picks up a healing card. But if he draws that, I think he's going to win. That's how good I think his hand is in, you know, some respects.
It's good in only if you draw one of the cards in your deck that heals.
Yeah, which, you know...
But it's bad in almost every other scenario.
Right, so...
Because he didn't make an early board, so he can't protect his board to make room for his Fungalmancer. His Soul Infusion is going to hit a Happy Ghoul, which is just a 3-mana 3/3 unless he draws a healing card. So
it's 5 healing cards.
Well, still, I was like, there you go. Finally. Thank you.
Thank you. Finally, I can get something done. And he gets quite a lot done here. Like, this isn't like a little bit of stuff done. This is a massive turn for Sintolol. The question to me is the Soulfire.
I'm just dumping everything. Yeah, I'm dumping everything here. I'm playing this Happy Ghoul, Soul Infusion.
He's going to go for it. Look at the smile on his face.
Yeah. Okay, no, he didn't.
For it. I thought that smile on his face. He was thinking about it though. He's like, well, I could Soul Infusion and then just 50-50.
Well, I think you Soulfire first, and then if you discard Fungalmancer, you Soul Infusion.
I think you Soul Infusion first.
But then you have a 50-50 discard Serenade.
No. Then you have a 50-50 to discard Fungalmancer.
It's the same thing.
No. It's different. Because if you have 3 cards, you only have 33% chance to discard the Fungalmancer, which is the card you don't want.
I say if you Soulfire after Soul Infusion, you have a 50% chance to discard the Serenade Chain Gang.
Yeah, but you said you wanted to Soul Infusion before you cast a Soul Infusion. Before you cast...
No, after.
You said before, though, didn't you? I think you said before. I could be wrong. Point is...
Soul Infusion is a good card.
Yeah, and Sintolol was thinking about that. I think to his wiser self...
I mean, this does give him the value trade over the 2-1. I kind of like the Soulfire. Whichever order he decides to do it in. I like protecting my board state.
Well, I like 2 4/5s.
I'd also like 2 4/5s.
Yeah, and they're guaranteed here. So my question is, you know, do you kill the Spider Bomb in this situation? And I think so. It's not... You're not, like, thrilled about it, but you're very thrilled about this, and I think that's really the important measure.
Yeah.
How long can this go on? How long can this go on?
Sinto looks stressed, man. I'll tell you what. Hunterace is in a bad spot. This is not what you envisioned.
The power is in the hair.
It's like one of the most tense matches in the series.
Just had to point it out. Devil's Orb, play dead.
Yeah, good luck.
Hunter's Mark to push through?
I imagine you need to Hunter's Mark here. This is, you know, you're pretty desperate territory to get something done.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, at this point, Sinto has the lead. You know, now he has the liberty to pretty much ignore what Hunterace has going on and just push damage. You had 2 pretty big minions your opponent needed to kill, and they only killed one of them.
Pushes 14 this turn.
Yep, this lets him Dreadlord with the Keleseth next turn after the Devil Sword trades over this 4/5.
Or just kill his opponent.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, you know, like, let's just say Hunterace could do something to set up any amount of defense here.
Yeah, and really Giggling Adventure is the only form of defense.
Yeah, and, you know, that's going to get pretty much wiped away.
And
I'm going to be, you know, 1/1 Annoyantron here.
And I'm investing in this Hunter's Mark almost every time.
Yep.
Light Warden, the most threatening minion on the board. Also the highest health, so just oozing with value.
Face me. Truth is found in death.
Somebody cut Dreadlord from this deck once, and I don't get it.
Yeah, he's dead. He needed Deathstalker Rexar right there.
Yeah, we're going to game 5.
It's amazing how toughly fought that last game was. And then to come into this game, Hunterace probably feeling pretty good going into turn 4, where Sintolol has nothing on board.
Yeah. That's the thing. The Healing Zoo deck has really changed a lot of that dynamic, too. Like, so many times I have played this deck and seen my opener and gone, oh, man, I think I'm going to lose.
Where in the past, you would have probably lost.
Yeah, you definitely would have. Now, though, it's kind of what happens when you get free mana 3/3s. Turns out they're pretty good.
So it's all going to come down, not an elimination game. This is initial match of the group. So whoever loses this is not out of the tournament, but they have to go down to the lower bracket where they have to win 2 in a row in order to make it to that top 4, in order to make it to that fall championship. So it's a big game. And an okay start for Hunterace. Those are the things you want. You want to be able to fight for the board early, and Candle Shot and Flanking Strike do that. But boy, do you need a lot more help.
Yeah. One of the big things to note for the opening of this game, too, is that Sintolol is on coin. So he's more free to take aggressive stances with a lot of his options. The first one being that if he has Cold Blood early on, sometimes he can deliver a lot of damage with just the one minion. The second one is playing against Witchwood Grizzly. If you have Vile Spine Slayer, you have a way to dump your hand and then push through if that card comes down. But the big one, again, is the double inclusion of the 2 Vicious Fledglings. Hunterace does not have a way to kill that card right now. And if he doesn't draw one, that card can get out of hand instantaneously.
And it's basically Hunter's Mark only. Or Spider Bomb.
Or right here, draw Prince Kaliseth. Okay, didn't work.
Yeah. But it'll come a turn before Flanking Strike is active, is a big thing.
Yeah.
And you pretty much have a 100% chance to protect it from Flanking Strike, because there's +3 health. I guess +1/+1 doesn't protect it with the Candle Shot,
Neither
but
does
you can get
Divine
Spelled.
Shield.
Oh, neither does Divine Shield. Okay.
Yeah.
So not 100% chance if you account for the Candle Shot, but
Yeah.
still a pretty big deal.
Well, one of these 3/3s is coming down.
Has to.
And then you protect your Vicious Fledgling. Sintolol gets a fist pump there when he sees no Candle Shot.
I mean, again, there's not a player in the world that doesn't smile when they can attack base with a Vicious Fledgling.
The Deadly Poison draw is big, too.
Let's see what's in the box.
3 health.
3 health.
Kills the 3/3. And Hunterace, once again, pretty much needs Hunter's Mark. Serenite Chain Gang could buy him some time. Houndmaster Shaw could threaten.
Katharina is not the thing you want to see
Yeah,
here.
Katharina can't do anything until turn 8. So Vicious Fledgling is now public enemy #1 for Hunterace, and it's not going away.
Even the Flanking Strike, he can deal 3 damage to this, but it resets it because the Deadly Poison Dagger is already dealing with it.
Yeah, and now Hunterace is faced with the weird decision of whether or not to, like, try to do anything.
I'll Cold Blood this all day long.
This is... Sintolol is to come on one time. Can't be targeted. It's pretty darn good here.
Yes.
But you do have to think about Witchwood Grizzly and what that means. You have to think about if Death Rattles are relevant for your Fungal Mancer. That protects it from Flanking Strike and from Hunter's Mark. So now Witchwood Grizzly comes down as 8 attack, but Sintolol has Fungal Mancer for that.
8
So-
attack.
I'm sorry, 8 health.
Holy moly.
Yeah, 8 attack would actually be way worse in this
Yeah,
situation.
I know it would be. Well, actually, no, because Fungal Mancer will protect it, so it'd actually be better.
Yeah, but, well, if you swapped the health,
Oh, okay,
that's
okay.
where my brain went.
Yeah, yeah.
Apologies. If it just straight up had 8 attack, no, that would be a lot better.
Yeah, and this Vicious Fledgling is going to single-handedly win Sinto the game. Outside of Magnetic Bomb, or sorry, Spider Bomb with Play Dead, which he needs 2 turns to draw.
I'm sorry, excuse me, it had 9 health. Because Sintolol played the...
Played the extra Flame Elemental.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that allows him to push through. Now, it does put it at 2 health.
That's right into Rexar.
Right into Rexar. And once again, Hunterace finds himself in a situation where it will be Rexar or bust.
Mushroom power!
Rexar might still be bust, but if it's not Rexar, it is bust. And that's not Rexar.
And that's the series.
There's no way for Hunterace to defend himself in this situation. And Sintolol's aggressive lineup has punished that lineup choice from Hunterace. Sintolol is going to be 1 match away from finding himself the championship. Hunterace right now is assuming Sintolol has about the worst possible hand. If that's the case, how do I win?
He's dead on board.
Oh, there's actually just 15 in play.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, no, he's just thoroughly dead then.
He's very dead. That doesn't even include the dagger.
Yeah. Well, that's the hero power. That's step 3 of the damage sequence.
Oh,
yeah.
We haven't gotten to that yet.
Yeah. Just the first box we counted.
Yeah.
Or rather that you counted. I didn't count it. I was just looking at Leroy Coldblood.
And that doesn't even account for if the Vicious Fledgling gets Wind Fury.
Well fought.
That's it.
Sintolol. The double fist pump. You can see how much this means to him and how intense this is. He just